Okay, folks, just wanted to share my process of cleaning the razor clams that we have here. A fine example, this is from the Washington coast, and usually there's 30 of them here. Me and my wife both got limits this morning. It's May 1st, 2025. Well, I've got them situated in here in the sink upside down. Usually I just lay them flat, and if there's 15 of them, they'll fit in here. But I lay them like this because the part that attaches the shell is at the upper part of the shell. I'm gonna shut that off. It's a nuisance. Anyways, the upper part of the shell has these things. I call them the hinges. They're like little muscles that are attached to the shell. And the idea of what I'm gonna do here, when this boils, I'm gonna pour this over the top. And it removes this membrane here, and also it unhooks them because the shells get hot, and then it unhooks that muscle from where the shell is connected to the shell, and the actual animal itself is connected to the shell. And I have a cold kettle of water here to plunge directly. You gotta emphasize this part. I'm not cooking. We don't want to cook it. We're just going to do it to shock it out of the shell, basically. And it also helps remove the membrane that's attached along the side of the front of the shell. And then so we immediately after doing that part, we put this on it, and then we also get them removed from the shells and move them over to this, which is also cold water. I'm going to pause the video until we get to that stage. Okay, here we go. That's the boiling water. Should go right over the whole batch. Open that up so it'll drain a little bit quicker. Also, you can hear them pop the shells. You can almost hear it. Here's the cold water, and that'll stop the. If you leave it in the hot water very long, it'll cook them, and you don't want that. So you want to shock them out of that cooking stage. What we used to do, my mom and her husband, they would have it in the net that you put them in when you're collecting them from the beach, and they would have a crab pot boiling, and then they would dip it in there and then take it out and then put it right away into the cold water. Well, you can see here, they're pretty much loose. There's the area that I was just describing there, the hinge. I call that the hinge. Where it's attached, I'll take a knife and just slice that off. Some of them are already completely loose. And some of them are connected on the one side. Like this one here has the one hinge that's still connected there. I call it the hinges. They're also really tender. They're almost like a little scallop if you get them isolated. But all right, here we have just the clams with all of their anatomy. Everything else, besides the shells, are in that kettle. This is a bucket that has previous clam guts, basically, in the tips of the tips of these neck. And so I'm going to try to show the entire process on how I do it. This whole thing will take probably about an hour to do this whole limit here. I start off by cutting the tip off of the neck. That's that first step there, and then that goes into this is crab bait, if you don't know. So, okay, now I had to put the recorder. I just slice it along where it's connected there, right there, and right up along the neck. So the neck is actually sliced into two pieces, and that'll leave you with something like that. Now rinse it in the water and just basically rip it into two. It's just basically and there's a piece of, where are we at here? I cut that off. That's just a piece of gut, basically. I put that in the tub. Now we try to get the two pieces down here. Anything that is a different color, basically, I remove. That's the darker colors that are intestines or whatever kind of digestive. And so this has the bottom hinge and the necks, and then the front, that part there, and that goes into a bowl that I will clumsily get out of the cupboard, and boom. Then we got the neck, or actually this is the foot, they call it, not the neck. and this has one of the hinges. I'll put that in there. Now what I'm going to do is just cut the end off where all the guts are, that piece, and I just try to cut the end where I give it a little bit of a squeeze, but not too much. Then we flay it open, kind of, and you've got that, and it's kind of a mess. It's kind of a pasty, and you'll see, like, I don't know if it's an intestinal tract or what, but I just kind of give that a good scraping. This is going to require a little bit of a rinse off too as well, before I'm comfortable putting it in the bowl. I just put it in the clean cold water, rinse it off. What you wind up with is the digger. This is the foot, or they call it the digger. This is the tender part of it. Between this and the neck, this one's more tender. If you cook them right, they're both perfectly tender. That's basically the whole entire process of cleaning a razor clam, and I will show you what I do next.